Monks, it is by way of elements that beings come together and unite. Those of an inferior disposition come together and unite with those of an inferior disposition. Those of a good disposition come together and unite with those of a good disposition. In the past they did so, in the future they will do so, and now at present they do so too. Well, that's the end of the sutta. So, like the English saying, birds of the same feather flock together. So people of the same character, they come together. Those wise people, they like to mix with wise people. Fools like to mix with fools, etc. Drinkers like to mix with drinkers. Jolly kakis like to mix with jolly kakis. Okay, now we come to the next Samyutta. It's Anamatagga Samyutta. It discourses concerned with without discoverable beginning. What is without discoverable beginning? Is the time or the world itself. Does not have a beginning. In other words, time has no beginning. And later you see, the Buddha also says that time has no end. There's no limits to the beginning and the end of time. 15.1. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Savatthi in Jeta's Grove, Anathapindika's park. There the Blessed One addressed the monks thus: "Monks, Venerable Sir," those monks replied. The Blessed One said this: "Monks, this samsara is without discoverable beginning." Samsara means the round of rebirths. The first point is not discern of beings roaming and wandering on, hindered by ignorance and fettered by craving. Suppose, monks, a man would cut up whatever grass, sticks, branches and foliage there are in this Jambudvipa and collect them together into a single heap. This Jambudvipa is a land of the rose apple, the Jambu, meaning India. Having done so, he would put them down, saying for each one, "This is my mother, this is my mother's mother." The sequence of that man's mothers and grandmothers would not come to an end. Yet the grass, wood, branches and foliage in this Jambudvipa would be used up and exhausted. For what reason? Because, monks, this samsara is without discoverable beginning. The first point is not discern of beings roaming and wandering on, hindered by ignorance and fettered by craving. For such a long time, monks, you have experienced suffering, anguish and disaster, and swelled the cemetery. It is enough to experience revulsion towards all volitions, enough to become dispassionate towards them, enough to be liberated from them. That's the end of the sutta. So here the Buddha is saying that if we collected the grass, the sticks, the branches, foliage, the leaves and all that, and we put them in a pile, and for every pile we say this is our mother, this is our mother's mother, this is our grandmother's mother, this is our grandmother's mother's mother, etc. All the grass and sticks and branches and leaves in India would be used up, and still you haven't counted your ancestors, haven't finished counting your ancestors. So the meaning here is that we have been in samsara for so long. It's hard to imagine how long we have been going on the round of rebirths. And yet it seems like we are just born the first time into this world. So our ignorance, our cake of ignorance, the layer of ignorance covering us is so deep, we can't even remember our past one lifetime. So the Buddha says it is enough to experience revulsion towards all volitions, enough to be dispassionate towards them. These volitions here, it says formations, but the word is sankhara. So You can say volitions are what conditions other things. Volitions, when we exercise volition, then we continue on the round of rebirths. Volition is connected with our craving. The next sutta 15.3, the Buddha said in Savatthi, monks, this samsara is without discoverable beginning. The first point is not discerned of beings roaming and wandering on, hindered by ignorance and fettered by craving. What do you think, monks? Which is more, the stream of tears that you have shed as you roamed and wandered on through this long course, weeping and wailing because of being united with the disagreeable and separated from the agreeable, this or the water in the four great oceans? These four great oceans, I guess, refers to the big ocean in the heavens. And the disciples said, as we understand the Dhamma taught by the Blessed One, Venerable Sir, the stream of tears that we have shed as we roamed and wandered through this long course, weeping and wailing because of being united with the disagreeable and separated from the agreeable, this alone is more than the waters of the four great oceans. Good monks, it is good that you understand the Dhamma taught by me in such a way. The stream of tears that you have shed as you roamed and wandered through this long course, weeping and wailing because of being united with the disagreeable and separated from the agreeable, this alone is more than the waters in the four great oceans. For a long time, monks, you have experienced the death of a mother. As you have experienced this, weeping and wailing because of being united with the disagreeable and separated from the agreeable, the stream of tears that you have shed is more than the waters of the four great oceans. For a long time, monks, you have experienced the death of a father, or the death of a brother, or a sister, or a son, or a daughter, the loss of relatives, the loss of wealth, loss through illness. As you have experienced this, weeping and wailing because of being united with the disagreeable and separated from the agreeable, the stream of tears that you have shed is more than the waters in the four great oceans. For what reason? Because, monks, this samsara is without discoverable beginning. It is enough to experience revulsion towards all volitions, enough to become dispassionate towards them, enough to be liberated from them. It's the end of this sutta. So, there have been a lot of reasons for us to cry. Sometimes because of the death of some relative, sometimes because we lose our property, because we did something wrong, we were tortured by the king, tortured by soldiers, tortured by enemies, and you cried and cried. And you have been sick, and the sickness so painful made you cry. So all these many reasons for us to cry, and we have cried so much. It's more than the waters in the oceans. But the thing about this Mara is very strong. Sometimes when we suffer, we feel so disgusted. For many people, they say want to give up everything, want to practice the holy life. But Mara will tempt us, and then very soon we forgot about our suffering already. There are things to enjoy, and we start laughing, and we forgot about our sorrow. Just like sometimes some men, the wife passes away, he feels so dejected, almost wants to commit suicide. Later he becomes attracted to some other lady and gets married and forgot all about his sorrow already. It's very common. So that's why the Buddha says Mara is very strong, and Mara also says you cannot escape from me. So that's why we have cried so much, and yet every time we come back and still want to enjoy the world. 15.5. At Savatthi, then a certain monk approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him, sat down to one side and said to him, Venerable Sir, how long is an aeon? This aeon refers to a kappa, a world cycle. A world cycle has 4 stages. Firstly, like now, the world exists. And we will exist for a long time. This is one stage. Then after that, it will start to disintegrate. And this process of disintegrating takes a long time before it finally disintegrates. Then after it disintegrates, there will be a period when there's no world. And that also is a long time. And then after that, the formation of the world, what you call in the Bible, Genesis, the world starts to form. That also takes a long time. Until finally the world has come into existence. So these 4 stages is one world cycle. Here it says an aeon. In the Pali it's kappa, or in Sanskrit it's kalpa. And the Buddha said, an aeon is long, monk. It is not easy to count it and say it is so many years, or so many hundreds of years, or so many thousands of years, or so many hundreds of thousands of years. And the monk asked, then is it possible to give a simile, Venerable Sir? It is possible, monk, the Blessed One said. Suppose, monk, there was a great stone mountain, 1 yojana long, 1 yojana wide, and 1 yojana high, without holes or crevices, one solid mass of rock. I'll stop here for a moment. 1 yojana refers to a long length, and it's supposed to be 10 kilometers. 10 kilometers or 10 miles. Say we assume it's 10 kilometers. So this solid rock is 10 kilometers high, 10 kilometers long, and 10 kilometers wide. A solid cube. At the end of every 100 years, a man would stroke it once with a piece of kasi or Kasian cloth. Let's stop here for a moment. This Kasi is a city. It's a great trading center. So Kasian cloth is a very fine cloth, something like silk. So you take a very fine cloth, you are only allowed once in 100 years to rub that solid rock. That great stone mountain might by this effort be worn away and eliminated, but the aeon would still not have come to an end. So long is an aeon, monk. And aeons of such length, we have wandered through so many aeons, so many hundreds of aeons, so many thousands of aeons, so many hundreds of thousands of aeons. For what reason? Because, monk, this samsara is without discoverable beginning. And it is enough to be liberated from them. So, you see, the simile given of a world cycle is so long. This solid rock is so huge, you are only allowed to rub it only once in 100 years, only once, and with a soft cloth. How long it will take to wear away that rock? And yet the Buddha says the rock would have finished worn away, and yet 1 aeon has not passed. So it's like almost impossible to count how long the aeon is. So remember the Buddha said he contemplated the last 91 world cycles and saw only 6 Sammasambuddhas willing to teach the Dhamma. And then I mentioned also the last 3 Buddhas were on this world cycle. That means the last 90 world cycles, there were only 3 Sammasambuddhas. That means 30 world cycles before you meet 1 Sammasambuddha. Such a long time. So if we don't make use of this Dhamma now, we are not going to meet it. We'll have to suffer so much. Our tears will fill another 4 great oceans. 15.13 at Rajagaha in the bamboo grove. Then 30 monks from Pava approached the Blessed One, all forest dwellers, alms food eaters, rag robe wearers, triple robe users, yet all were still with fetters. Stop here for a moment. These